Seated on this dais with me, President of AIMA, Nikhil Soniji, my good friend TV Narendranji, Vice President, Sunita ji, Rekha Sethi ji, the two awardees today who have trailblazed their sectors, both Lata Venkatesh ji and Ashish Dhawan, all the members of the AIMA body, ladies and gentlemen. It indeed is always an honor to be a part of this illustrious body's activities. AIMA is an institution that I feel honored to have been associated with for over 2 decades. It not only is a federation of industry and corporates, but in many ways is a think tank of how to further not necessarily pure sectors alone, but to take India forward, to take every sector and every vertical of India forward. And therefore, my interactions with AIMA have been extremely fruitful over the last 2 decades. And it gives me really a great pleasure to award 2 people who I have known in their official capacities. Lata, for one, who has been a trailblazer in the business sector of news. I myself have been many a time at the receiving end of her barrage of questions, probing, inquisitive, directed, clear articulation. And I feel honored to be at the podium today with Lata ji to be able to present her her award for the media sector. Ashish is an old acquaintance, an old colleague. He happened to go to the wrong university, but that's all right. I commiserate with him because I also have been at the receiving end because my son happened to go to that wrong university as well. Ashish in his career has left the shores of a country that represented tremendous opportunity to come back to India to a ground and a marty that he has always believed in. Not only believed in terms of starting new enterprise, but believed in terms of her entrepreneurial capability, her ability to grow into world-class companies. And he has been a part of that metamorphosis. His private equity firm, aptly christened as Chrysalis, bringing about that transformation and that metamorphosis from a seed to a vrat vraksh that will provide shade to multiple people across the length and breadth of our country. After his success in private equity, his call towards changing the way that things are to the way that things should be. The famous quote of Nelson Mandela, "I dream of things not the way the things are, but the way the things should be." And his passion in the education sector, and bringing his wealth of expertise to sow the seeds of a university, which he now champions the cause of across the length and breadth of this country. So I feel privileged to be a part of the honoring effort of AIMA to Ashish Dhawan, my colleague and friend, and congratulate him. We live in interesting times, ladies and gentlemen. We live in interesting times where the world is seeing a tremendous amount of turbulence. Economic turbulence, social turbulence. And in this environment of extreme air currents, we are seeing a beacon of hope, a beacon of stability from the southern part of the globe. And that beacon of hope, that beacon of stability is none other than our country, India or Bharat as we know it. She today is rising on the world stage. No longer an embodiment of a struggling economy, but an economy that is on the rise, an economy that is rising like a phoenix in the Committee of Nations, a country that is promoting a value of inclusivity, a value of sustainable economic growth, a value of digital development, a value of climate action. Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the Prime Minister's moral of one earth, one world, one family and one future, today is epitomized by, if any other country in the world, then our country, India. And that today is the opportunity that India represents to the world. And within that opportunity, a country that is poised to lead, whether you talk about technology, the fact that India today is the second largest producer of mobile phones in the world, whether you talk about infrastructure, the fact that we have tripled the number of kilometers that we build of highways per day, from 11 to 33 kilometers. In my past portfolio, going from 74 airports in India in 2014 to 159 airports at last count in 2024. The fact that we have Delhi today as the second largest capacity airport in the world at 109 million. We need to move the international business hubs for air traffic from our eastern and western neighbors back into India. And I am confident, it is my former portfolio, but I am confident that in the next decade, you will see not one international hub in India, but at least 3 international hubs being created in India. If you move away from infrastructure, if you move away from telecom, when you look at social development, the fact that we have raised 25 crore of our people, our brothers and sisters, from poverty. Public health, what could not have been dreamt of before. Under the Ayushman Card Yojana, 28.5 crore people today have health insurance cover of up to 5 lakh rupees per annum. Something that we could not comprehend. 10 crore of our sisters and mothers who are covered under Ujjwala Yojana. And all of this has not happened in 75 years. All of this, ladies and gentlemen, has happened in the last 1 decade of India's progress. And all of you have been a part of that journey. I have always believed that India's rise is based upon the rise of her people. It is our job in government, and I've mentioned that to Narendranji many a time during our advisory group meetings. Government today has to become less of a regulator and more of a facilitator. In your success lies the government's success, lies India's success. And therefore, our working has to be a partnership where a minister does not necessarily have to head a table, but a minister has to be a partner with you, not sitting on a square table, but sitting on a round table, a feeling of partnership and camaraderie with every single person. So India today is on the rise. Last financial year, we grew at above 8%, the fastest growing economy in the world. Could we comprehend that 10 years ago? The fact today that India represents a booming economy, a commitment to inclusivity, sustainability, and a drive for international collaboration. Now, in this profound shift that we have experienced over the last decade, the communication industry has gone through its own metamorphosis, its own transformation. If you look at the number of broadband users in our country, from 60 million, we have gone to 940 million. If you look at the number of kilometers of optical fiber cable that have been laid out, 30 lakh kilometers of OFC fiber cable has been laid out in the last decade alone. We have grown to 119 crore mobile subscribers. And not to forget, in that transformation, for the first time in the history of our country, and that too because of the determination and commitment and passion of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India, for the first time in her existence, has developed her own 4G stack technology that will be rolled out by the middle of next year. And not to forget my postal department, a department that I'm extremely passionate about, because it's a department that not only delivers a service, but it's a department that connects hearts. We have the largest postal network in the world, 1.64 lakh POSs, points of service. And dare I say, the largest distribution network in our country of any company across the board. That is the potential that India represents. And therefore, as we advance towards adopting new technology, manufacturing our own technology, it is two energies, the energies of our young talent, the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is forward-looking, progressive and proactive, especially to explore thus hitherto unexplored areas. Now, in this transformation in the telecom industry, the communication revolution, if you look at subscribers, if you look at teledensity, if you look at data usage, if you look at tariffs, the multiplier effect that this has had on our economy. And not only the multiplier effect that it's had on our economy, but also the way it has changed our lives. And mind you, I take pride in both. Because I remember in 2007 when I first became minister, and this was a department I held charge of. It was in 2007 that the first iPhone had been introduced in India. It was in 2007 when internet was available only to the urban elite. It was in 2007 when the only online application that we would use would be our email. And it was in 2007 that barely a quarter of our population had access to what is now ubiquitous, this dabba that we hold in our hands. And in the last 17 years, the journey that our country has undertaken, 119 crore telecom subscribers today, internet connectivity growing from 25 crore to 94 crore. At the same time, the cost of voice dropping from 50 paise to 3 paise per minute today. The cost of data per GB dropping from 280 rupees to 12.8 rupees today, a 95% drop in cost. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the transformation that India has undergone. The India Post Payments Bank, established only 7 years ago, today boasts of a customer base of close to 9.8 crore people. And we have seamlessly transferred 45,000 crores worth of dues directly to customers through DBT. No intervention, immediate and electronic. Today, UPI has become a part of our lives. India transacts 46% of the world's digital transactions. That is the huge transformation that has taken place in communications, the digital revolution in India. And therefore, I believe, as the Prime Minister has always said, it's important not only to set up towers in India, but to ensure quality of service. It is important not only to implement technology, but also to design and develop indigenous technology. It is not only important to copy what the world has set as standards, but India should set the standards for the world in the days to come. And she, ladies and gentlemen, is on her path. And there are 3 targets that we have set for ourselves. The first target is to ensure saturation, saturation, and saturation. Every corner of our country must be connected digitally. Every single person must be able to avail of every single opportunity through the digital revolution. अवसरों का अगर अभाव है तो डिजिटल टेक्नोलॉजी के आधार पर हर व्यक्ति को अवसर प्रदान करना हमारी जिम्मेदारी बनती है. And 100% saturation is something that we will achieve. Today, we have raised almost 4.5 lakh towers of 4G across the country. When we talk of the Northeast, there are close to about 6,000 villages that remain to be connected. Through the USOF fund, which is today rechristened as the Bharat Nidhi, we have committed almost 6,000 crores towards that and achieved 50% of the goal. Across the length and breadth of India's villages, there still remain close to about 25,000 villages to be connected. We have committed to putting up close to 20,000 towers and committed 44,000 crores towards that initiative. And by mid-FY25, we will have committed and completed 100% saturation in our country, ladies and gentlemen. along with that 100% saturation, whether the Northeast, whether the rest of India. It is also an imperative to connect through a fatter cable with low latency, optical fiber cable, every single Gram Panchayat across our country. And therefore, the BharatNet program, with an ambitious capex of 1,39,000 crores, will connect every single of our 2.46 lakh Gram Panchayats across the length and breadth of our country. It is our imperative that through our postal network, whether it is our passport seva kendras, our dak niryat kendras, our export centers, our Aadhaar centers, we will ensure financial inclusion of every single citizen in our country. And along with that, whilst we have the fastest growing 5G network in the world, in 22 months, building out 4.5 lakh towers, building out our own 4G technology for BSNL, we are also embarking on our path towards 6G by setting up the Bharat 6G Alliance. And our target is to ensure 10% of international worldwide patents for India in 6G through this Bharat 6G Alliance in the days to come. The second target is the thrust on Make in India. Until a decade ago, we were pure importers of telecom equipment. It is the Prime Minister's imperative that India must become not only Atmanirbhar in her telecom equipment, but start exporting her telecom equipment. And let me give you a data point. A decade ago, we exported only 1,500 crores worth of mobile phones. 10 years later, today, we export 1 crore 29 lakh worth of mobile phones internationally, ladies and gentlemen. We produce 30 crore mobile phones in our country. Now, the same transformation has to happen in the telecom equipment space. And for that, we have launched our PLI 3 years ago. Almost 4,500 crores of investment has taken place. 50,000 crores worth of equipment has been produced. 10,500 crores of export has taken place. 17,800 new jobs have been created. Such has been the experience with the productivity-linked incentive scheme in India, which I believe will take our country forward. We've also established the Telecom Technology Development Fund to fund startups in our telecom space. I must also talk about CDOT, our government company that has today been instrumental in producing our inherent domestic indigenous 4G technology. CDOT has produced the core for our 4G network. And along with Tejas network, along with TCS, along with BSNL, today these four are working with one motto, one goal, one vision, one passion and one result to set up India's own domestic 4G technology through BSNL. 1 lakh towers by the mid of next year is our target, which we will achieve, ladies and gentlemen. Our core and RAN is also being developed as we speak and being laid out. I believe that it's important for us, as I said earlier, to work in a partnership. And just like Narendranji's experience in steel, we've set up 6 advisory groups within telecom. For ISPs, for telecom service providers, for SATCOM, for our smaller companies, for academia, across the board. And I'm working assiduously along with each of these advisory groups to make sure that we achieve a paradigm shift in the communication revolution in the days to come. The third goal is to ensure that we have a future-ready technology in India. It's important for us to adopt new technology, but it's also important for us to harness our own capabilities of producing new technology. And let me give you a few examples. Our postal department is pioneering what we call our DigiPin, a digital address code, and therefore a geolocated address code for every single citizen will be propounded by the postal department. Our pilot has already been rolled out across 4 cities and 10 villages in India, and it is our belief that we will have a geo-access derived code, a DigiPin, for every single citizen in India over the next 3 years through the postal department. In addition to that, we are redefining our SATCOM rules to take us on to the next paradigm of using SATCOM to ensure connectivity to hitherto unconnected areas. Also, the Post Office Act and the new Telecom Act. As soon as I took over office, both were notified, which leaves us with only 180 days to come out with all our rules. And I commit to all of you, a very transparent, forward-looking rule mechanism will be promulgated by both departments by December of this year to enable a new paradigm shift in our sector. Along with this, as far as new technology is concerned, the Internet of Things is here, and that requires speedy connectivity. We are going to evolve from 4G to 5G to 6G through domestic and international technology, and that, along with DOT launching our Sangam digital twin phenomena, where we will, through IoT, through 5G, map out existing routes of highways, metros, the path of least obstruction, to be able to simulate all of that with population growth, with traffic growth, and provide the new pathway using our Gati Shakti portal as well, to be forward-looking and to be able to think of the next decade and the requirements today and develop that technology as we go along. And therefore, I believe that while we are service-enabled, we must also be secure. And we've set up a telecom security operations center, very much like a NOC, where every single incoming and outgoing call and email will be scrutinized for any cyber attacks. And mind you, this is completely indigenous technology. And warnings will be sent out to banks, institutions, so that they can act in a very proficient manner, in a most timely manner, to avoid these malware attacks in the days to come. So what I have presented you today is a range of pilots, a range of projects that our telecom sector is promulgating for being future ready in the days to come, ladies and gentlemen. And as the world evolves to much more automated work, to much more work from home, to much more working through technology, communications and telecom becomes the real driver of ensuring productivity across nations. It is the Prime Minister's resolve and our department's resolve that we will work with every single company and every single citizen to promote with alacrity new technology, new thinking, paradigm shifts, if required regulatory measures, modify our policy frameworks, and initiate collaboration to make sure that India defines world standards for telecom in the years to come. Thank you very much for having me.